Welcome to Monday Morning Methane. I'm very excited today to be joined by Michael Rabani, who is a senior consultant at Highwood Emissions Management as of last week, I believe. Michael, welcome to
Yeah,
Monday Morning Methane.
thank you. I am happy to be here.
I'm excited too. I'm super excited that you've decided to join Highwood. And I guess the first question for you is, why did you join Highwood? Why are you excited about joining us?
So, I've been working in the methane space for quite a while and have worked, with you and others at Highwood on a variety of projects. And all of the interactions that I've had have been really incredible. Um, Highwood's team is intelligent. Um, Highwood's team is a group that I, I've always found strives to find order in the nuance and ambiguity of methane. So just the mix of ingenuity, uh, technical integrity, which is really important, and the ability to listen to stakeholders' needs and adapt was an attractive place to work.
Those are very kind comments. We should have had you do a reference for us before you joined Highwood, so people don't think I was paying you and forcing you to say all those nice things about us. So you're going to be working on a number of cool things with us. Just curious before we get into some of the things that we have planned to accomplish. What skills did you bring? You're familiar with
Yeah,
MIQ,
yeah.
which is a collaborator of Highwoods. Um, tell me a bit about the work that you did there and some of the skills that you're going to be bringing over to Highwood.
Sure. Yeah, so prior to working at Highwood, I spent a little over 4 years with MIQ helping to establish the MIQ certification program. One of the original goals of MIQ, which started before EPA regulations were updated. Regulations in Colorado came to form EUMR and the like. The the original ethos was that you need more than um, just a quantification protocol in order to, to demonstrate best performance. So that, a standard that rewarded, structured mitigation planning, the use of advanced technologies to understand anomalous emissions sources, and really importantly, a focus on trying to improve and drive culture of methane reduction in um, individual business units would ultimately altogether help drive down emissions quickly. Um, and then, in addition to that, third party engagements with experts to assess conformity to a given standard would ultimately help drive operators to have a common goal in what they were trying to achieve. So those first generation assessments, I was really on the ground floor of,
Yeah.
um, you know, learning as we went along, and understanding the hard decisions and hard challenges that operators would have to make with data, and also what hard decisions auditors had to make, especially if certain parts of a standard were vague or ambiguous. So I think I bring to the table an appreciation of what a protocol should look like in order to get the most amount of standardization out of reporting and performance demonstration. One of the things that makes me so excited right now about the space is a lot of the smartest people in methane are developing the next iteration of MRV standards as we speak. And so I think ultimately it will take, experienced, high integrity individuals with a lot of knowledge around the quirks of methane reporting and performance demonstration to ultimately help to guide the industry through what is seemingly a bit of a transitionary time where it looks like we're hopefully moving from a period of voluntary initiatives that are largely self-reported into more of a regulatory construct around MRV. And that will be in large part an uncomfortable transition, but I feel like I bring a skill set and an experience base to Highwood that can ultimately help clients start to become a lot more comfortable in ways of standardizing their approach.
I love your optimism. There's definitely lots of smart people right now in the space working on many protocols and options for how this ought to look. You're certainly one of them, and I've witnessed firsthand your ability to navigate a lot of that nuance and complexity and all the edge cases through many examples over the years. You touched on this a little bit. Maybe just elaborate a little bit more. What are the real problems that you're going to be helping Highwood's customers solve?
Yeah. So I think it will be pretty wide ranging. Obviously, Highwood has differentiated themselves as becoming, an expert when it comes to methane emissions reconciliation, how to manage discrepancy in operator reporting. Um, at MIQ, our standards took the approach from the early days that building inventories really it was important to understand anomalies and to understand the causes and to try to identify patterns in why if operators were seeing large unintended emissions, why were those happening, and how could operators incorporate that information into mitigation strategies, or just understand what was going on in order to build internal capacity. So I think at Highwood, operators are still trying to understand how to incorporate advanced technology information into a standardized way into their reporting. Operators are looking at Highwood to try to identify patterns in their emissions data. And I think a lot of operators are also interested in understanding what it would take in terms of an internal monitoring and reporting plan to be able to be ready for some type of independent verification that is regulatory grade. And so, I hope to work with clients on all of those problems eventually as I start to get going.
You're signing up for a lot of hard stuff, and
Yeah,
we're all working
that's
on it.
why
Yeah,
we
so
do it.
yeah, independent verification is definitely on everyone's mind. And one of the things you said that resonates with me is we're kind of at this point now at Highwood where, for many of our customers, we've automated and systematized the
Yeah.
process of developing these very complex inventories. So it's a lot easier
Hmm.
to get better answers of what your emissions are.
Hmm.
And so now we're working to weave that data back into decision making to improve mitigation strategies. So I'm excited, both on the
Yeah.
regulatory independent verification path, as well as the how do we use this data to improve, accelerate, and prove out that mitigation
Yeah.
is happening. How do you see, the next few years, for Highwood, for our customers,
Yeah.
pull out, read the tea leaves a little bit for us, and where are we going to be in a few years from now?
Well, I wish I knew. Um, I
That'd
would
be
say
boring.
that 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 these are fairly uncertain times in the industry, particularly if you're an operator in the U.S. Um, there have obviously been a lot of regulatory rollback, especially at the federal level. And when we're looking globally, there's still this checkerboard of regulatory structures that are difficult to navigate and, I think at times impede progress when it comes to, like you said, operators just having structures in order to make decisions that drive down emissions as the primary goal. So, we're seeing a lot of global momentum for MRV standards to emerge. In the EU, obviously, that's a regulatory driver, and then in Asia Pacific, it's still being um, pursued as a voluntary initiative. Regardless, I hope to see further standardization. I think, everybody wants that. And I think, especially on the technical fronts, a rallying of relevant parties under a transparent framework that will ultimately reward industry who use valuable emissions information that companies like Highwood help them understand more in creative, intelligent, and
Mhm.
importantly transparent ways will hopefully help to keep the train rolling in the right direction even as we have these rollbacks in the US.
Mhm.
So in a few years, we could see new, future incentive structures or regulatory structures that are built or tweaked. It's hard to say what will happen there. But I think, over the last 4 or 5 years, which is the amount of time that I've spent in this space, there's been so much progress and understanding in how to use, advanced technology or, at what times are emission factors generally okay to use, especially if you have quality auditable activity information. And putting, all of that learning together into some type of, standardized uh, technical product will help those future incentive structures to be credible, to be reproducible. And I think we have a lot of the information now to do that now so that we're ready for what the future holds.
All right, well, let's get to work. I'm pretty excited about all of that and the work that we're going to do together. So, Michael, thank you so much for joining Monday Morning Methane. Have a great week, and look forward to showing everyone what we get up to.
Thank you, Thomas.